Hi everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to assess the chances of the SEC winning its case against Coinbase.
Breaking news, the SEC now filing suit against Coinbase in Manhattan federal court. It says Coinbase has operated as an unregistered broker since at least 2019 because it has never registered as a broker, National Securities Exchange, or clearing agency.
Before we attempt to predict the outcome, let's consider why the Securities and Exchange Commission has its sights trained on Coinbase, the American publicly traded company that operates a cryptocurrency exchange platform. In 2013, during the Obama administration, the Department of Justice and federal regulators launched Operation Choke Point. Its aim was to cut off banking access and payment processing for certain businesses deemed high risk or unscrupulous. This included payday lenders, pornography studios, and firearms dealers, among others. The regulators pressured banks and payment processors to stop doing business with these merchants by threatening investigations or regulatory action if they maintained relationships. This choked these lawful industries from the banking and payments system. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong has argued that the SEC's lawsuit against Coinbase is reminiscent of Operation Choke Point tactics. He claims the SEC is abusing its powers by intimidating crypto companies like Coinbase through threats of drawn-out lawsuits. According to Armstrong, this forces crypto firms to either settle with the SEC or risk financial and reputational damage fighting long legal battles, even if the companies have strong cases. This indirectly cuts off access to banking and financial services that crypto businesses need to operate. So while Operation Choke Point officially ended in 2017 after much controversy, Armstrong believes the SEC is employing similar coercive techniques to essentially strong-arm and choke out crypto companies. So what could happen if the SEC wins? If the SEC convinces judges that the 9 assets traded on Coinbase are unregistered securities, it will likely spur a regulatory crackdown on exchanges. The SEC could pressure platforms to immediately delist hundreds of altcoins pending reviews to assess their status under securities laws. Crypto exchanges would be forced to sharply boost spending on legal counsel to ensure tokens are properly vetted before allowing users to trade them. Increased compliance costs could drive smaller exchanges out of business and lead to consolidation among leading players. Regulators may also compel exchanges to implement strict investor guidelines and disclosures before allowing them to trade tokens that are classified as securities by the SEC. We could see a ban on retail investors buying crypto assets that are deemed high risk without proper accreditation. As a result, trading these assets may become restricted to wealthy, sophisticated investors who are better equipped to handle volatility. Beyond exchanges, an SEC victory would also embolden efforts to rein in major parts of the decentralized finance ecosystem. If the SEC loses its case, and Coinbase prevails, it would make the SEC's task of designating cryptocurrencies as securities much more difficult. It could also hamper the agency's ability to strictly regulate token listings and distributed finance platforms. Exchanges may not need to implement stringent vetting of new listings or provide copious investor warnings before allowing trades. We'd likely see a resurgence of riskier practices that were common during the 2017 ICO boom. More speculative tokens could proliferate without sound disclosures for investors. With fewer regulatory burdens, developers and entrepreneurs may flock back to experimenting with innovative crypto offerings. But rampant speculation could also return. Coinbase winning may provide enough legal cover for exchanges to list securities without proper licenses or investor safeguard. While the hands-off approach can accelerate crypto innovation, it also raises major risks around reckless speculation, market manipulation, and inadequate custody solutions. Mainstream investor and institutional comfort with crypto may not advance as quickly without proper rules of the road. What could happen if there's a settlement? This is probably the most likely outcome, as a settlement would allow both sides to claim partial victory. Coinbase likely would pay a hefty fine and agree to classify certain tokens as securities. This compromised outcome would establish a regulatory framework while enabling Coinbase's business model to largely continue, but with new guardrails. Regardless, this outcome of this case will represent a critical inflection point. The rules established here will shape the next era of digital asset development and regulation for years to come. It also serves as a vital test of the SEC's power to mold crypto markets through enforcement actions rather than formal rulemaking procedures. If the SEC overreaches by trying to paint all cryptocurrencies as securities rather than establishing clear, tailored frameworks, it risks stifling American innovation and ceding leadership to other jurisdictions with smarter policies. But if Coinbase successfully resists proper oversight, it might give exchanges the ability to place profits before consumer protection. Overall, the specific consequences would depend on the actual terms of any settlement reached between the SEC and Coinbase. Either way, the verdict will shape the crypto regulatory landscape for the next decade. Therefore, stakes couldn't be higher as both regulators and innovators aim to solidify their standing and vision for the future of digital asset markets in the United States. Okay, so let's look at some predictions. Currently, the only prediction platform that features this question is Manifold. At the time of writing, the chance of the SEC winning is 46%. Now let's ask ChatGPT. It estimated there is a 50% chance that the SEC will win its case against Coinbase. That's because the SEC has a history of successful enforcement actions against various entities for violating securities laws. This track record suggests that the SEC has the legal expertise and resources to build strong cases. However, the scrutiny and potential pressure from public opinion can influence the outcome of legal proceedings. Also, past legal decisions and precedents can influence how judges rule in similar cases. If there are relevant precedents that favor the SEC's position, it could increase the likelihood of their success. Coinbase's legal team's ability to counter the SEC's claims, raise compelling defenses, and challenge the evidence presented could significantly impact the case's outcome. The intricacies of cryptocurrency regulations and their application to platforms like Coinbase add complexity to the case, and different judges might interpret the laws differently, leading to varying outcomes. Legal cases often involve negotiation and potential settlements before reaching a court decision. The SEC and Coinbase may choose to settle the case before it goes to trial, which could impact the overall outcome. Now Bard, it predicted that the SEC has a 60% chance of winning its case against Coinbase. It stated that the outcome of the case will depend on how the judge interprets the relevant laws and regulations. If the judge rules that some of the digital assets that are traded on Coinbase's platform are securities, but not all of them, this would allow Coinbase to continue operating its cryptocurrency trading platform, but it would also require them to comply with certain securities regulations. Finally, let's ask Claude. Claude predicted the SEC has a 65% chance of prevailing or reaching a favorable settlement. This is because the SEC has recently won similar cases against crypto lending platforms, establishing legal precedent for their argument that crypto asset lending constitutes an investment contract and thus a security under securities laws. This strengthens their position against Coinbase. However, the definition of a security with regards to crypto remains ambiguous. Coinbase has reasonable arguments that crypto should be classified as a commodity rather than a security. There is no definitive legal clarity yet. Coinbase is a major influential player with substantial financial and legal resources to mount a strong defense. This could make the SEC less likely to totally prevail compared to smaller players. However, the SEC also has considerable resources and motivation to use this case to establish clear crypto security regulations. The most likely outcome is a settlement where Coinbase pays a fine and agrees to apply securities laws to certain assets but maintains its commodity exchange status. This would be a compromised partial win for the SEC. In summary, the SEC's chances of outright winning are lower than 45%, but combined with a partial settlement, their overall chances of a favorable outcome rise to 65%. Now let's calculate an aggregated unweighted average. At the time of writing, it was Manifold 46%, ChatGPT 50%, Bard 60%, and Claude 65%, which gives us an average prediction of 55.3% that the SEC will win its case. Don't forget that predictions are subject to change on a continuous basis right up to the judgment date, so keep checking back for the latest results. And that wraps up our prediction breakdown of the SEC's landmark lawsuit against Coinbase. Please remember to like and subscribe for more prediction analysis. Don't forget to find Foresight Bureau on Substack and most other social media channels. We'll see you next time. Disclaimer: this content is intended for entertainment purposes only. We do not guarantee the accuracy or completeness of the information published. We are not responsible for any losses or damages that may arise. Nothing should be interpreted as investment or financial advice.